We're on?
We're going to start the meeting. It's past 7 o'clock. So I see, Chief, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, as you all know, this is, I hope you can hear me. This mic, the best way it can be, I don't know. I can talk louder. This is the Hampstead School District deliberative session. And we're in Hampstead now at the Hampstead Middle School. And tonight, we're going to go through the warrant articles one by one. And this particular session consists of explanation, discussion, and debate of warrant articles 2 through 9. Now, warrant articles may be amended, and this is also very controversial at times, subject to the following limitations. Warrant articles whose wording are prescribed by law cannot be amended. Warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. No warrant article shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. You can change it, but you can't take the subject matter away from the voters. So tonight, who do we have here? We have our Hampstead School Board. We have David Smith, the chairman. We have Jason Gerard, vice chair. Did I say it right, Jason? Giard, I'm sorry. Carl Hubner, member, right next to me. Megan Malcolm, down there. And Aaron Pellegrini. I hope I got everybody's name right. And down the end, we have Robert Thompson, our superintendent. And we have Jeffrey Dowd, the business administration CFO. And myself, I'm the moderator. And Lisa DeMayo, our clerk, is down the end. And Laura Jones, our treasurer, is here somewhere. We have counsel, though. Here.
Laura's here.
Okay, I can't.
Laura is not here.
So we don't have counsel here.
No,
We don't
I
have.
Okay, so we
Laura
do.
is the treasurer. She is not here.
Okay.
Laura Jones is not here.
So what's your name, counselor?
Abby Tucker. I'm with Wadley Star and Peters.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to
I
meet
think I
you.
may have met you before, but
Yes, I have.
okay. I'm sorry, my memory's not always that good.
That's okay.
Okay, so there's a bunch of people here that aren't necessarily from the town of Hampstead, and they're going to speak tonight, I understand. And normally we have to make sure that we allow them as members of this legislative body, the voters here, to have them speak tonight. And now, the people that on the list I was given are Bob Thompson. You don't live in Hampstead, I didn't realize that.
I do not.
Okay, Francine Flynn. And you don't, you're going to be allowed to speak. Jeff Mackey. You don't live in Hampstead? I thought you lived in Hampstead, no?
I grew up there, but I moved there.
Okay, so your roots are here, though. Jessica Parsons. Okay, Jessica. Joseph Dion. Okay. And Lynn Joseph. I guess she may not be here.
She's not.
Okay. And Nicole Tomaselli. Nicole, I met you ladies in the room previous to this. And Tara Lynn Cheney. Okay. Now, I knew I recognized you, but I wasn't sure where from. And we have Abby Tucker, okay. And we do have someone here who's an architect. I don't know if he's going to speak or not, but I suggest if he does, we allow him to speak. And I forget your name, sir.
Engineer, Gino Baroni.
Okay. An engineer, not an architect. Gino Baroni. Nice Italian name. Okay. Okay, I have some rules that I drafted a while ago.
Mr. Moderator,
Go
I
ahead.
would also like to recognize Peter Schmidt is here as well at the table. So
Oh, where is he?
he is the assistant principal for the Hampstead Central.
Oh, Peter, I'm sorry that I miss you. You're hereby recognized, okay? And you're Hampstead resident, so you can speak no matter what. Okay? The law basically says you're not supposed to be able to speak at this meeting unless you're Hampstead residents, unless we as a body say you can. And since no one's made an objection, you can vote anyways because you're a resident, a voter. Let's get into the warrant article itself. Before I do that, I want to get into the rules. I drafted these rules a few years ago. It's like anything. You got to know the rules of the game to play it. Let's see, what do I do? Okay. And by the way, I'm not going to run for this position again. I asked Don Blask if he would run as moderator. He's going to. And I think he's good, but I don't know if I should say that, but he is. But I'm going to still stay on as town moderator. If I get voted in again, who knows? The meeting started at 7. We had the Pledge of Allegiance. And I tell you, we're not going to follow Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order is a book about 900 pages long, so we're not doing that thing. What we're going to do is have moderators' rules, I'll call it. And we'll take each article as it appears in the warrant, and every time an article comes up, we're going to ask someone to move it forward. It's going to be, we have an overhead screen? Yeah. So it'll be up here. And so I'm not going to read the full article sometimes, it's not necessary. I'm going to recognize a member of the school board to move it forward for discussion. Someone second it, and then we'll talk about it. And then once we talk about the article, it may be amended, may not be amended, and then they're all going on the ballot because that's what we're here for. All we're doing is really preparing the ballot, the secret ballot. That's what we're really doing here. No one can speak from the floor unless they're recognized by the moderator. Each speaker must provide his name and address. There's not that many people here, so I don't know how long, I don't know who's going to speak. If you're going to do amendment, I'm going to ask that be in writing, and that way we can have, so I know what it is later on, and we'll give it to the clerk, Lisa, and we'll vote on the amendment. But if you're going to do amendment, you got to be in writing, okay? And signed by the proponent. And amendments require majority vote. When we do one amendment at a time, try to do more than 1 minute, it gets really confusing. And articles that are prescribed by statute cannot be amended. I'm not accepting negative motions. We had a big issue on that one year with the cell tower issue. People tried to change the warrant article to make it meaningless. You can't take it away from the voters. You can change it. You can change it pretty substantially, but you can't change the meaning of it, what it's all about. You can't take it away from the voters. Is what you can't do. And motion to call the question. I guess we're going on and on. People are getting upset. They want to stop. If 2/3 vote, we can stop the discussion. Let me see. Non-voters. I talked about that. All speakers be courteous. I know you will be. Each speaker will only speak. I would ask that each speaker not speak until everybody else has had a chance to speak. Because sometimes people try to double up, and that's not fair. And if someone wants that, what we'll do is if we have a vote on something, we'll have a voice vote, and I can usually do it by sound. I can hear who wins the motion. If that becomes contested, then we can actually have a count. We can count people's hands. And after that, if someone wants a secret ballot, we can do that. But have a secret ballot, which I think is unnecessary with so few people here. Have a secret ballot. 5 people have to request it before we actually have the vote, and they have to be registered voters here, and they got to be identified. Okay, and that's about it at this point. I hope you're wise to what we do tonight. Let me get into the warrant article itself. Okay, this is the first meeting. This is the first meeting of the annual meeting, deliberative session, as we already talked about. It's now the 7th of February, 2023, and we're going to go through the articles one by one. And the second session of, because we're Senate Bill 2 town, the second session goes to an actual secret ballot, which will be on March 14th. And also have the municipal vote at the same time. And that's when we actually have the ballots, when we have secret ballot. And we're actually preparing the ballots for that day. So Article 1, we'll go right into it now.
Hey, Mr. Moderator, I'd like just to remind anybody watching at home that all this material is available on the Hsd Schools website.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. You asked me to do that, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So a lot of the material that I discussed about, and the chairman of the board just reminded me that a lot of this material is on the website. They have a nice presentation there, so it would help you when you want to follow along. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, and Mr. Dowd?
I recognize you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Our citizens can visit the Hempstead School District warrant and budget site, which is under School Board, on our main site, which is hempsteadschools.net. So okay. Warrant and budget, and you'll pull up the 2024 budget, and you'll see our presentation and deliberative materials in that link. So.
Sounds good. Okay, now I'm going to go right into Article 1 on the articles here. Now, that we can't do anything about, so that's going to go right onto the ballot, but what that is a pick school member for 3 terms, school member for 3 terms, for 3 years, 3 years. District moderator, I said I'm not running this time. I don't know when the end zone for that is, when it finishes. Is anybody, is Don Black the one to sign up for it? I don't know.
That was on Friday.
So it's done?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to be at that. Well, who knows? Someone going to have a write-in campaign against him, I guess. And the district treasurer, 3-year term, and district clerk. That's you, Lisa, right? So that's all on the ballot, and we can't do anything about that. Now, that's prescribed by law. So now I'm just going to suggest that Article 1 is hereby forwarded to the March 14th secret ballot here at the middle school on that date, March 14th. And the polls are open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., if anyone wants to know, because sometimes people get here early and they don't realize it's not till 8 you can start voting. I know we had one thing one year, we tried to change it from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., but people voted against it. I was so surprised. But it's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Number 2, Article 2, bond issue. Let me read it here. Bond issue, Hempstead Central School addition project. Shall the voters, you got it back up here on the screen now, I hope, some point. Shall the voters of the Hempstead School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,190,000 for the Hempstead Central School addition project and authorize the issuance of not more than $7,690,000 of bonds or notes under and in compliance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, to authorize the school board to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds or notes, and to determine the rate of interest thereon, and the maturity and other terms thereof. Lawyers wrote this thing. To authorize the school board to apply for, obtain, accept, and expend any federal, state, or other aid that may be available for such product, for said project, apply with all the laws applicable for said project, to authorize the school board to make any and all action necessary in connection therewith, or to pass any other vote relative thereto, and to further raise and appropriate additional sum of $192,000 and $250 for the first year's interest payment on the bond. Note, $500,000 will be utilized from the capital reserve fund. And I hope someone can explain that, because I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what that means myself. And this is because it's a bonding issue, it goes to the ballot and it requires not only a majority, a super majority of 3/5. So when we vote on in March, in order for this to pass, it has to have a super majority of 3/5, just so you know. And the school board, I see down here, has recommended 5-0, I imagine no one voted against it, and 0, no one abstained. So if someone from the school board want to move this warrant article forward for discussion?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Got that, Lisa? Okay. So I guess I'll let you guys go forward and talk about the article. Is that okay at this point?
Yep.
Okay. And I don't know what order you want to go, but Dave, you take over, please.
Yep. So first, I'm going to address what you had just mentioned about the article itself, the bond issue, is that the $500,000 that you questioned, Mr. Moderator, is $500,000 from capital reserve that we already have in our capital reserve fund that we'll allocate towards the cost to bring the cost down from $8,190,000 to $7,690,000.
Thank you.
So that's the
That's what I thought.
$500,000. So just going to wait a moment for the slides to catch up, and we're going to go over what is part of the bond for the Central School renovation project. All right. Thank you very much. Good timing. All right. Thank you. So what you see before you is the Central School renovation proposal, and as we've talked in the past, we do recognize that this has not passed the majority vote of 3/5 for a number of years. We're going on, let's just say a few years. And so this past year, that night of the last vote and into the next morning, a number of us got together and started to discuss where we should focus our priorities. And what you see before you is the focused priority areas. So this is a new project, a new design compared to the last year's designs. We focused on 3 priority areas: safety, special education, and student learning. Safety meaning institute modern security measures to protect our students in compliance with Homeland Security audits and other reports that have been done over this past year. Special education, we want to optimize the in-district opportunities for children with special needs. School board believes that if you're living in this town, you should be educated in this town. And this plan, we believe, provides the opportunity for all students to have that education. Next is student learning, provide a classroom and learning spaces that support our student population. So we'll go into that on the next slide. All right, so for the plan that we have proposed to the public for voting, first thing is on safety and security. For those that have been into the main entrance, you have seen that it's you're essentially recognized at the door by like a ring, right? That the office sees somebody, but it is a few doors away. So this plan makes the main office, changes the main office to be in the front so that visitors are met immediately by administration. This complies with our Homeland Security audits to ensure that we have multiple doors that are entered first before a parent, guardian, or anyone in the public can get into the main areas of the school. By doing this also, it helps with how our traffic flow is for students and reduces how many times students can or cannot flow to the gym or out of the gym on their own to the bathroom or other areas. We've also moved the nurse's office to the front of the building with this plan, and that's a change from, as we've mentioned in the past, that the nurse's office today is across the entire school. So if a sick child is going to the nurse's office and has to be picked up by their parent, right now they go to one end of the school, the parent comes to the building, they go through the entire school spreading their sickness. This brings those students to the front of the building, and the parents can quickly take their children out of the school. So we'll go next to special education. Sure. All right, so for special education, this is another area that we've highlighted in the past, that we are utilizing all spaces that are currently in the school, and probably spaces that many would agree shouldn't be spaces to educate our students in special education. So with this plan, we provide adequate space for those students with special needs and supports the students to be in district. As superintendent has spoken to in the past, that by having the space, we can create those programs to bring those students or keep those students in district more often than not. And the goal there is, again, to keep those students in district. And as we've talked about, there is also a financial benefit, as it is cheaper to educate those students in town and in district. With this plan, we are going to be repurposing existing spaces. So like we just mentioned in the last slide, we're moving the main office. So that main office area that's existing today, we're going to repurpose that and use that for special education. There's also other rooms that this plan opens up, and we can take the students out of those small cramped rooms with no windows and put them into spaces that are, I'd say, adequate. They're not above and more adequate, but they are adequate for learning. Next slide. Thank you. All right. Next one is on student learning. We have communicated that our population of students is growing. We right now have just over 450 students in the central school. We expect about 50 more students, and I believe the number is about 502, who's counting, but there's a large population increase this coming year, and over the next 5 to 10 years, we see a constant increase. That's been forecasted by a number of groups. We had a study that we resourced this year that had really looked at not just what other studies have done, but they did their own detailed study of the population growth, and they also expect a large population growth over the next 5 to 10 years. It's not a matter of if, but when, and when is now. So with the student learning area, we have 4 new classrooms that will provide learning space that will be off the back side of the existing 60s wing. We will be creating a new library media center that will be above the new main office, and that is to really create a library that today we do not have a true library space. And we'll also be able to provision for full day kindergarten, where one of the last schools in New Hampshire, we're in the bottom, I think the last of the 25% or so that don't offer full day kindergarten for all in the public in their town, and this would be allowing for full day kindergarten. Today, currently, we have a lottery system that there's a population of students that we cannot provide full day kindergarten, and they go into a lottery and they cross their fingers and hope they win that lottery and their kids can go in full day kindergarten. And often we have a few classrooms that are half day kindergartens. This plan will also allow for our grade levels to be clustered together. So what that means is with our current situation at the central school, we'll have a few kids that are in second grade on the first floor, then we'll put a couple more classrooms on the second floor somewhere. We do that for a few different grades because right now we don't have the ability to keep them clustered together. This helps with not only learning, but for teachers to have their cohorts together. So this plan will increase our student learning and I'd say better educate those students and provide the necessary foundation as they move out of central school to middle school and high school. This plan will also change our undersized stairwell. So we have a stairwell right now that is very tight, that if a firefighter has to go up or down, they really can only fit one person, and even that is tight with the equipment that they wear. So this will replace that undersized stairwell with a up-to-code, more modern stairwell that you can fit multiple people going up and down the stairs at the same time. Next, just to remind again, these are the 3 priority areas that we've continued to message: safety, special education, and student learning. We also want to thank, we had a building committee made up of town members from various spectrums and backgrounds to help us navigate through what we know has to be prioritized, as well as what could be digested by the community. So we had a lot of feedback from the committee members to provide that feedback. And I know we have some of the committee members in the audience today, some that are not. We just want to say thank you to them for helping to really look at this plan and suggest what could pass a vote in March, but at least what we feel confident that we've done our due diligence in providing the needs for the students, as well as be financially responsible for this. So, next slide. All this information and more can be found off of the Hampstead Central School's website under the link that's in red, HCS edition. And if there's any information not there that you're looking for more, have questions, I know that Superintendent Mr. Thompson, Principal Dr. Cheney, any board members are here to answer any questions and provide the detail to inform you as voters. Thanks. All right. So the tax impact. So again, with help from the building committee, we discussed what we felt was appropriate for taking out of a bond of that a large amount, as some have said, and we decided we would do this over a 10-year bond. So the chart here illustrates that for the first tax impact, spring 2024, for a $400,000 home, it's about $56 for the year, or just under $5 per month. The tax impact is 14 cents per thousand. As we go into fiscal year 25, the total is $1.134 million. That tax rate is 84 cents per thousand. So on a $400,000 home, the monthly impact is $28, or $336 for over the year. And then for all future years, for the balance of those 9 years, we have an average of $942,000 per year, or about 70 cents per thousand, which comes out to $23.19 per month on a $400,000 home, or just about $278 for the year. Mr. Moderator, I believe I'm turning this back to you now.
Okay. I have a question, if I may. When do we become the Huskies? I thought we were the Hawks.
The Huskies are the central school. The Hawks are the middle school.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
So-
I didn't make that distinction. I get
Yep.
it, okay. Any more discussion on Article 2, the bond issue? Anyone want to talk about the bond issue? Come up to the mic, sir. Identify yourself. We got a special place for people to talk, okay? Come up to this mic. Just say who you are, where you live, okay?
that all right, Neil? Okay. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Joe Tabby. I've lived in Hampstead for 22 years. My wife said to me, "Let's take a ride." And I didn't know what she had planned. I had no intention of moving to any place than where I was. But, you know, here I am. Okay. I want to start by saying the following. To my senior friends who have asked me, how much is this going to cost me? I live in Granite Village. The average home is selling in there between $200,000 and $300,000. Well, let me say this to you. Yes. Mine? No?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You got the mic. You say what you want. First Amendment. You go there, Joe.
Okay. First year, if you own a home that's worth $300,000, you pay $42 for the year. $42. So those friends of mine that have said to me, how many hundred dollars is this going to cost? $42. I think we can afford that. And also between the year 2 and 10, it's going to be $213 a year. $213. And what are we getting? A modification or addition to the central school. Mr. Moderator, members of the school board, Superintendent Thompson, and Dr. Ching, who is the principal of the middle school. I mean central, just the middle, central, okay. I've had the opportunity and pleasure in working with several members of the school district office personnel, teachers, custodians, and administrators. And I have found them to be cooperative, helpful, and in my opinion, second to none. My best friend of 61 years, my wife, asked me at my late age, why do I want to get involved? Why? And I said to her that I care. I care for the students from the kindergarten all the way up to as far as they can go. I had the opportunity and the privilege to visit the Central School several years ago. The classes were in office. I mean, there was students in the rooms. And I'm just going to talk about two incidents that really made me more determined to get involved. The first one was I went down the hall and I looked into this closet, a closet. The student's back was to me. And there was a teacher sitting in a desk, in a closet. No windows, no nothing. I didn't think this was an appropriate place for the children, this child, to be taught. On the second issue, in my presentation there are more, but in the second issue, I observed teachers and students with the students back to me. Oh, that's a closet. Okay, let's go. I'm kind of nervous. It is unfortunate that this circumstance, through no fault of our principal, Dr. Cheney, our director of Student Services, Jessica Parson, they are extraordinary and we were lucky to have them. The second situation was that I went along and I looked into a room. There were 6 or 8 students in this room. They were in the cubicles, and they tried to teach children in this cubicle form about education and school and so forth. You couldn't hear yourself think, there was so much noise. That's just a couple. Superintendent Thompson and chairman of the board of no, it's not selectmen, school committee, Mr. Smith, decided we needed more input from the community to bring forward a building project that will meet the needs of the central school now and for several years to come. With the approval of the school board, the committee met for a while. Every week, Superintendent Thompson is a tough master. I wondered, every week, what I volunteer for? I don't know. We ended up recommending to the school board, we need 4 rooms. And the school board accepted the recommendations of the committee. We then reviewed the architectural plans with eyes toward eliminating extras, add-ons, that were not necessarily for this project. And let me tell you, the guy who looked at the plans is tough. He's on our committee, and he's really tough. He looked at every inch of that thing and said, this is no good. Nope, can't do that. Can't do this. Let's replace that window. It's too big, you know. But he did his job. In the end, what was recommended last year for $12.5 million, this new project will be costing around $8 million. That's a saving of, how much? 4 million. Can you imagine that? A saving of some $4.5 million over last year. And we're going to get a real nice product. The committee focused on 3 areas which Mr. Smith spoke about. Safety, special education, and student learning. To make these recommendations, we need more. We need more room in the school. As mandated by the state, we were required to provide classroom space for the kindergarten classes. We currently use 4 rooms and do not have enough room for the kindergartens, for everyone to attend a full-time kindergarten class, which I am a strong advocate of. I think they should be there full-time. Start them young, and as they go on. That's why people are buying houses in Hampstead, because of our school system. And we want to make it better. We want to make it better. We've been trying for 7 years. More and more residents are moving in. The first year, what did that? We cannot let another year go without the needed renovations. Superintendent Thompson and his team did submit a school funding for renovations. I believe we are now 8th place. Most of funding went to Rochester. He will continue to seek funding for our schools. In my opinion, passage of this article will put us in a better position to get funding. And that's only my opinion. But if you go and say, I got the money, like like buying a car, I got the money, they won't talk to you. And I hope the state does talk to us. In remembering the federal law, no child should left behind. Let us not leave our children behind. Vote for this article. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to the Article 2, the bond issue? Louis, why don't you come on the mic and identify yourself?
How you doing? Louis Seaton, 260 Stage Road.
My kids have already gone through the central school and are now currently in the middle school, Pinkerton Academy, and have graduated UNH, respectively. Giant age range. But I'm here to support my friend Joe Tabby that just came up. I see him almost every day. He didn't even tell me he was doing this tonight. Found out this afternoon, cleared my schedule, and came over to support him. And I also support Dave, all his efforts, and the entire school board. And I just wanted to say, if I win the lottery, I'll pay for the school. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Anybody else want to speak to Article 2, the bond issue? I just have one question, if I may, for Jeff Dow. What's the going percentage rate for municipal bonds?
The last sale in January for a 10-year bond was under 3%. We're factoring this at 5% because we don't know what the uncertainty of the market will bring.
Okay, I'm just
But
curious.
yeah, we're using 5%.
Thank you. Article 2, the bond issue. Anybody else want to speak to it? Seeing no one want to speak to Article 2, the bond issue. Article 2 is hereby forwarded to the March 14th ballot. Secret ballot here at the middle school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The next article is Article 3, the operating
Mr.
budget.
Moderator, if I can, I'd like to make a motion to restrict consideration for Article 2.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
Second.
You have, Lisa, what they're doing here? Okay. Second, okay. You have her a second? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying, go ahead, you want to speak more?
Oh, no, I was saying aye.
Okay. All those in favor of restricting consideration hereby signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. I didn't hear any nays. Okay. So that the motion is passed. Okay. So we go to Article 3, operating budget. And operating budgets, and we have this up here too. Well, I'm still on Article 2, I guess. Okay, there we are. We got it now. Okay. Article 3, operating budget. Shall the voters of the Hsd School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $32,821,710. Should this article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $32,775,756, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments. So that's, it's not much less, it's very similar. So, let me just go on the second page. With certain adjustments required by previous action of the Hsd School District or by law or the governing body may hold a special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, Roman numeral 10, and I think that's 16, to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Note, warrant Article 3 operating budget does not include appropriations proposed on any other warrant articles. So this, when we go on the ballot, this requires just a majority, no supermajority for this. Recommended by the school board, this, in this little note here says 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. So does anybody want to speak, anyone want to move this forward for discussion, the budget? The chairman moves forward, second? Second, okay. And so who would like to speak in regards to the budget?
Back to me, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, I recognize the chairman to speak.
So, part of the overview for the budget, we will review the overall proposal. We'll move to the budget drivers. We'll talk about staffing and personnel, go over the highlights of any new and deleted items by department. We'll talk about the revenue budget, show the trends of our budget, as well as what the default budget entails. Next slide, please. All right. So just for our enrollment purposes, for what's been used for the budgeting, as we discussed earlier and stand corrected, we are projected at 501 students for the central school next year, up from the current population of 450. For middle school, we are currently at 382 and projected a decline of 39 students to 343 students. And then at Pinkerton Academy, we are projected at 397 students, which is up by 33 for next year. Total district-wide enrollment for next year, 2023-2024, is 1,241 students, a net increase across the 3 schools of 45 students. All right, as discussed, our overall budget proposal is $32,821,710. That is a net increase of 1.96% year over year as you look at last year compared to this year. Difference of $632,176. Next. All right, we're going to go into budget drivers by our object code, or how we do our budgeting. First, I'm going to go right through this. Salaries is a net increase of $90,441. Group insurance, a net increase of $202,096. Teacher retirement is down $108,289. Professional services up $103,748. Computer services down $11,995. Repairs and maintenance down $15,302. Transportation services $195,627 up, and travel and workshops are up $94,835. Continue to the next page. More drivers of the budget request. Supplies are up $16,301. Software is up $20,164. Tuition is up $491,968. Utilities and energy is up $79,700. Books and info resources is down $22,811. Equipment is down $10,657, and fund transfers will be down $500,000, and then miscellaneous is up $6,350, and that brings us to the total delta of $632,176. Next slide, new and deleted budget items. So for new items, $37,223 to increase the ESOL tutor teacher hours, $57,073 to add one network administrator, reducing one technical assistant by $38,727, and then reducing one HAS secretary, $35,925, for a net total of $19,644 for total personnel. New and deleted budget items continued here at the Hempstead Central School. We've added $3,509 for digital library. We've added $5,944 for additional classroom furniture, $20,000 for classroom furniture replacement, $4,500 for adding of field trips, and then removing $6,181 from AV new and replacement equipment. And then lastly, deleting test scoring supplies by reducing by $7,915 for a total increase at Hempstead Central School of $19,857. Next, we move to the Hempstead Middle Schools, new and deleted budget items. We've added $4,734 for new equipment for language arts, which is iPads for instruction. We've deleted $4,305 from office and new equipment. We've deleted $9,343 from fax, guidance, library equipment. We've also deleted $3,360 for athletics, bringing us to a net decrease of $12,274 for the Hempstead Middle School. Information technology, we've added $12,273 for software for antivirus. We've added $11,668 for additional info access fees, security software, and student content filters. We've deleted $25,000 from website updating costs, and then we've also removed $28,130 for technical replacement, computer lab, and staff devices, bringing us for a net decrease of $29,189 from the information technology department. Next, we move on to curriculum. Curriculum, we've added two lines at $45,000 each for curriculum development, one for reading and writing at HCS, the other for reading and writing at HMS. And then we've deleted $27,840 from our FLES curriculum, bringing us to a net increase of $62,160. Lastly, facilities. We have added $174,470 for an underground storage tank removal. And then we have a lot of deletions from the maintenance area for facilities, starting with $54,059 for roof that we're not going to be doing this year because we completed in previous years or in current year. Taking off $42,000 for repair and maintenance on flooring. We're removing $44,773 for other professional services. We're going to need less construction PM services here. Next, we're removing $2,065 from the facilities software line item, as well as we're removing $5,571 from replacement equipment. We have less that needs to be replaced this coming budget season. Lastly, we're removing $4,199 from new equipment grounds for, we already purchased a snowplow, so that's coming off of what we need for this coming budget season. A total increase for facilities of $21,803. All right. I am not going to go through line by line on this one, but on this is a slide for the 2023-2024 revenue budget, where we see that there is revenue budgeted. And brings us, if you look at the total line at the bottom, you can see this is how we've come up with the $32,821,710. And as you go through this, you'll see various amounts of unassigned balances, tuition, interest, permanent funds, and other local revenue. On the local revenue side, you go to the state revenue, we have grants and other aid. And then lastly, we have federal revenue that will show, be it Medicaid, federal projects, as well as lunch reimbursements. All right. Next, for the budget percent trends, as we do every year, we show the last 10 years and what it looks like and how we've trended year over year, with this year proposing a 1.96% increase, with an average of 2.77% increase. And this proposed budget represents the operating budget alone, as a reminder. And this is where I just say, for those that are just tuning in for the first time, the budget season for us really starts in September. And through a series of discussions and meetings, there's a lot of work from the administration and the school board to review the budgets, refine the budgets compared to previous budgets and allocation of spent. So just a big appreciation to the administration for the amount of work to bring in a budget that's 1.96% with the going inflation that we have, that many school systems have seen. So definitely on behalf of the school board, an appreciation for the administration and fellow board members to bring in a 1.9% in the trying times of inflation and whatnot. All right, next. All right, funding sources. Again, if we read through this, you'll see that the revenue for what's anticipated is $1.98 million. State adequate education aid that we get from New Hampshire State is anticipated to be $2.4 million, with surplus of $800,000. Local taxes bringing in $27.6 million for a total operating budget of $32.8 million. Again, the net change increase is $632,176, or that 1.96% that we've talked to, with the tax impact percentage is 12.96%, and the tax impact per 1,000 assessed value is $2.33. All right. On this slide here, with the nice pretty colors, is how our distribution of the budget is, where you'll see salaries making up the blue. Then we move down, going clockwise, the benefits in that maroon color. Green is our anticipated expenses, and then tuition is in that larger purple. Moving on up to the little slices in the, let's say the medium blue, is fund transfers. Moving to the orange is transportation. Next, we have our utilities and repair in the light blue, and in that small little pink is supplies at 1.43%. So again, all of this information is located on the Hempstead School District's website to review and look in fine detail of what this percent is. You can go to the next slide. Default budget, again, our default budget would be $32,775, $75,756 should the proposed budget fail at voting. The difference between the proposed and default budget is $45,954. And this is back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, back to me. Does anybody else want to speak to the article regarding the school budget, the operating budget? Anybody else want to speak to that? Can I ask a question, if I may? I noticed when you spoke tonight, both times in the last two articles, you talked about the increase in attendance at school of children. Now, how do you know that? Is that like a guess, speculation, a statistical analysis? How do you figure that out? I mean, you're predicting the future, which is hard to do. And I wonder, how do you do that with some kind of certainty that, in fact, we're going to have an increased enrollment in kids?
Yep. There's a number of ways we do this. One is that Dr. Cheney in the Central School gets a number of parents that are communicating that they want their children to attend kindergarten. So that's one way we do this. There's another way that we have a company that does the forecasting for us. Remind me a good thing.
It's a partnership with a company called the New England School Development Council, Hsd.
Right. So Hsd forecasts based on births, based on a number of other factors in town, and knowing population, et cetera, in the town. And they've been pretty spot on for as long as we've been partnering with them.
I appreciate that answer.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Now, anybody else want to be heard on Article 3, the operating budget? I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars here. No one else wants to talk about it? Okay, seeing no one rising, no one talking, no one wants to discuss the operating budget anymore. The operating budget is hereby moved to the secret ballot in March, on March 17th, here at this school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So the next article item that we have, moving
Mr.
on.
Moderator, excuse me.
Yes?
I'd like to move to restrict consideration, please.
Is there a second? You got that? Okay, all those, did you hear what they're voting on now? Motion to restrict consideration. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. I don't hear one nay, so the ayes have it. Okay. So the motion to restrict reconsideration is passed. What that means, someone at the end of the meeting can't go back and try to re-vote on that, is what they're basically doing. So it moves the procedure along is what it does. It prevents someone at the end of the meeting just to throw a monkey wrench in what we just did. We have collective bargaining agreement. This is Article 4, Hsd Education Association. This is one we can't modify, and this has been already negotiated with the Education Association. So the Hempstead School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hempstead School Board and the Hempstead Education Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over the amount paid in the prior fiscal year. And I guess we have a, I'm not going to go into the numbers are up in the board. It talks about the year 1, year 2, and further to raise the sum of $350,000. Each sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and fringe benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. So we can't modify this because it's already negotiated. So you either vote it up or down at the secret vote on March 17th. It looks like it's recommended by the school board 5 to nothing. So no one abstained and no one voted against it. So does anybody want to be heard regarding Article 4, the collective bargaining agreement, Hempstead Education?
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator, I think I'll be reading the next slide.
Okay, why don't someone move it forward? Do we already do that? We move it forward for discussion.
Right, we need to do that.
Okay, we did it already?
No.
Okay, let's do that. So someone move this forward for discussion.
I'll move it forward for discussion.
Okay, and Chairman, you're second?
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead now?
All right. Can we go to the next slide? All right. So just to give the community just an overview of what Article 4 is for the collective bargaining agreement for HEA, or the Hampstead Education Association. These are the major terms that are part of what has been agreed to between the board and the union, which is wage information against on-step. Year 1 is a 4% step. Year 2 is a 3%. And those that are off-step, years 1 and 2 are 3%. Insurance, the district contribution is down 1%, so we've negotiated to reduce the amount that the town essentially will pay for insurance is down 1%, where year 1 has gone down from 90 to 89%, and year 2 is 89 to 88%. Retiree medical supplements, we've sunsetted this for any employee hired after June 30th, 2025. All right, Mr. Moderator,
Okay, go through that?
back to you.
Okay. Anybody else want to be heard regarding Article 4, collective bargaining agreement? I don't see anybody raising their hand and want to talk about it. So Article 4 is hereby forwarded to the March ballot here in this school, I think on the 17th, I believe, yes, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Everybody's invited to vote, please do so. The next article is Article 5, collecting bargaining agreement, this is between a different group, Hampstead Association of School Staff. So the Hampstead School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hampstead School Board and the Hampstead Association of School Staff, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels over the amount paid in prior fiscal years. It's up there again. Talks about the year 1, year 2. The numbers are up there. I don't think I have to read them. You can see them. Further raise an appropriate sum of $213,000 for the first year, and each sum representing the additional cost attributable to the increase in salaries and fringe benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. This is another article that requires only a majority, and it was recommended by the school board, 5 to 0 to 0. So should we discuss this? Anyone want to discuss this, or could someone move it forward for discussion, please? I'll move it forward for discussion. Are we a second?
Second.
We have a second.
All right, and I'll take the next slide there, Mr. Moderator.
Go
Just,
ahead.
For Article 5, the collective bargaining agreement for the Hampstead Association of School Staff major terms. Wage information on step all years is an increase of $1.55 an hour plus 45 cents step increase. Off step all years is an increase of $2 an hour. We've also negotiated a mentoring program where the district will implement a mentoring program, and the mentor stipend is $500 per mentee and paid training. We've also negotiated a crossing guard that when a crossing guard is an in-district, existing district HAS employee, there will be a stipend of $8.70 an hour, and increase is 60 cents an hour annually. And just a note, the mentoring program that we're mentioning here and that we're speaking to is, the purpose is to allow better onboarding, improving our staff retention, and to improve ongoing support for HAS. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you, David. So I guess that we discussed sufficiently Article 5, the collective bargaining agreement between the school staff. If we have, no one else want to talk about it, I would suggest that Article 5, as printed, is hereby forward to the March 17th secret ballot here in this school from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and encourage everybody to vote. Article 6, authorization for special meeting on cost items. It says, shall the Hampstead School District, if Article 4 or Article 5 is defeated, authorize the Hampstead School Board to call a special meeting at its option to address Article 4 and/or Article 5 cost item only, majority vote required. And then in parentheses it says, without this article, the district would have to petition the Superior Court for a special school district meeting. This saves the district the expense of attorney's fees and court costs. Is recommended by the school board, again, 5 zip. So no one abstained and no one voted against it. Does someone want to move this forward for discussion?
So moved.
Okay, and then we have a second?
Second.
Okay, and I know it says what it is, but you guys can explain what this says so people can understand it better. I know you understand it.
I can give
quasi understand it, but just for the voters.
Yep. This is just, the purpose of this article is that if Article 4, which is the HEA agreement, or the Article 5, the Hsd agreement, is defeated, then we would have a special meeting to address Article 4 or Article 5 themselves as cost items. Without this, we would have to, the district would have to petition the Superior Court for a special school district meeting. So in essence, if those are defeated, this saves us money.
Any questions, or anyone want to address Article 6? See no one raised their hand, or no one wanting to discuss Article 6 any further. Article 6 is hereby forwarded to the March 17th ballot.
It's March 14th.
I'm sorry, I keep saying, it's March 17th, March 14th is the correct day. I already said March 17th a couple of times. It's March 14th is the secret ballot here in the school. It's Tuesday, it's always on Tuesday. The next article, Article 7, Capital
Moderator,
Reserve. What?
excuse me. I'd like to move to restrict consideration on Article 6, please.
Okay, is it motion to reconstruct, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, you know what we're voting on, everybody out there? Voting on a motion to restrict the last article, restrict consideration. So once we do this, it can't be brought forward again. We can't rediscuss it or re-vote on it. So, people understand that? All those in favor of motion to restrict reconsideration signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Okay, so that motion passes. So we're now on Article 7, Capital Reserve Fund. And it says, if and only if, Article 2, and it says in brackets, the bonding article passes, then shall the voters of the Hsd School District raise and appropriate up to $300,000 in excess of the first $150,000 of surplus to be placed in the school renovation, reconstruction, and capital improvement capital reserve fund previously established in 2006, with such amount be transferred from the June 30th, 2023 unassigned fund balance surplus available for transfer on July 1st, 2023. If Article 2 fails, then this article shall be redeemed null and void. Majority vote required, and then it says in parentheses, the first $150,000 surplus shall be returned to taxpayers. Up to $300,000 of balance of remaining surplus will be placed in the capital reserve fund. The funds from this article come from the 2022-2023 school budget surplus, not from additional taxes. The article is contingent upon Article 2, brackets, the bonding article passing. And that's the end of the parentheses, which started way above that. School board recommends it's 5-0-0. Someone move this forward for discussion. I would hope you guys, this is sort of complicated. I would hope you can explain it in simple terms. It's got a lot of if and only if, and
I'll move it forward to
Okay.
consideration.
I think it would be helpful if you could,
I'll second that.
second, okay.
All right, I'll explain that, Mr. Moderator. That because in Article 2, which is the warrant article for the bond for the central school, we are taking most of the capital reserve and paying it into the addition, the renovation, to reduce the total bond amount. What we're asking for here is then to start to add back to that capital reserve fund in case something fails, like the leach field or a major roof repair or anything else that costs more than what's in our typical operating budget. So that's what this is to do.
Thank you. Anybody else want to talk about the capital reserve fund, more specifically Article 7? No one want to talk about it? I would suggest that no one wants to move to reconstruct or anything, or? I'd say the article as written is hereby forward to the March 14th ballot. And I want to emphasize that date because I erroneously said it before. It's on Tuesday, March 14th.
There you go.
And Mr. Moderator, if it's okay, I'd like to move to restrict consideration, please.
Motion to reconstruct consideration. And is there a second?
Second.
Second? So we're going to vote on this, okay? So there's a motion to reconstruct reconsideration, which means we won't be able to talk about this article anymore. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. So that passes. So we're now on Article 8. Article 8, Capital Reserve Fund. Again, this is an if and only if. Article 2, the bonding article in brackets. fails, then shall the voters of the Hampstead School District raise and appropriate up to, is that 1 million in excess for the first $150,000 surplus to be placed in the school renovation, reconstruction, and capital improvement capital reserve fund, previously established in 2006, with such amount to be transferred from the June 30th, 2023 unassigned fund balance, in parentheses surplus, and in parentheses not available for transfer on July 1st, 2023. If Article 2 passes, then the article shall be deemed null and void. Majority vote required. The first $150,000 of surplus will be returned to taxpayers. The balance of the remaining surplus will be placed in the capital reserve fund. The funds from this article come from 2022-2023 school budget surplus, not from additional taxes. The article is contingent upon Article 2, bracket, the bonding article, and the bracket, and then not passing. Recommended by the school board 5-0, and want to discuss this further? It's another contingency. But it's a little confusing at this point. So I would appreciate, I would suggest, you may want to, you do whatever you want. You may want
Probably want to move this first, though, right, Mr. Moderator?
Move forward.
I will move it. I'd like to move to have this move to discussion, please.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay. And I would suggest, I suggest, if you guys can explain this, it's getting rather complicated here with all the contingencies.
All right, we don't want to make it complicated for you, Mr. Moderator, so
Well,
we're going
We're talking about a lot of money here, too.
So this is if the same, kind of the opposite of the last Article 7. So Article 8 looks at Article 2 and says if this Article 2, the school renovation, does not pass, then we are looking to approve any surplus above $150,000, up to $1 million, from our existing budget this year to go into a capital reserve fund so that we can begin to look at how do we add classrooms or something else, whatever the school board decides in the future, because we're running out of space. So if the central school renovation does not pass, this money will be used in our capital reserve so the school board can decide how to increase space or security or support for special education if that's what they choose once the new next school year comes about and we know how much money is left from the budget of this current year. So, and then anything over $1 million would be returned to the community.
Really not for my benefit, Mr. Chairman, but for the benefit of the average voter. They come in the voting booth, and some of them read the ballot ahead of time, some of them haven't, and they read something like this, they come up to me and say, well, what does this mean? And it's confusing to people. It really is. And then they got the second ballot. They're going to have with all the things on the I forget what you call it when you change the restrictions on land use. I forget what they call that. But that's on the ballot too. And with another ballot, so this is really confusing for a lot of people.
So, Mr. Moderator, if anybody that talks to you on voting day has a question about any of this, I am sure I will be there.
Good.
And other school board members, and they can explain any of these in detail without persuading them how to vote, but to explain the articles.
Well, if you're outside the polling area, you can certainly persuade them. You can't persuade them inside the voting area. That's the issue. You can't election inside the voting area, okay? If you're out in the street, fine. Say whatever you want. First
Great
Amendment.
rules.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak about the Capital Reserve Fund, Article 8? I don't see anybody rising to talk. No one wants to talk about it? We have another motion to reconstruct consideration.
Yes, sir, we do.
We have another motion to reconstruct consideration. We have a second? Second. Okay. I think we all know what we're voting on at this point, unless someone wants explanation. All those in favor of restricting reconsideration, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, the last article we have, and that's hereby forwarded now to the March 14th. I want to make sure I get that right date. I said it incorrectly a couple of times, and I apologize for that. It's always a Tuesday voting, and Tuesday this year is on March 14th. I assume it's the second Tuesday of March. The last article is Article 9, General Acceptance of Reports. Shall the Hampstead School District accept reports of agents, auditors, and committees as written in the 2022 annual report? Majority vote required. This is more or less housekeeping, it sounds like to me. Recommended, and I always put this article in, recommended by the school board 5-0-0. Does anybody want to be heard on this article? Anybody want to discuss it or anything? If I don't hear any discussion, I'm just gonna move it to the ballot. So hearing no discussion, no one wants to talk about it, No one's moved to the floor for discussion. So Article 9, general acceptance of reports is hereby forwarded. I want to get this date right because I said it wrong before. The March 14th secret ballot, which is the second part of of what we're doing tonight. The first part is here, the annual session meeting, deliberative session. The second session is the annual meeting, the actual voting, which will take place in this school on Tuesday, the 14th day of March, 2023, Hampstead, New Hampshire, in this school right here. So I guess that's it. I would entertain, I guess, at this point, unless someone else has wants to say, a motion to adjourn to the secret ballot on March 14th. So I'm going to move for that.
I'll motion to recess until March 14th, 2023.
Good. You got a second on that? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're over. That's it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.